Hello YouTube, this is Tack Off Road, and I'd like to talk to you about nutserts. I went online and tried to find a YouTube video on how to remove and replace a nutsert that was installed incorrectly, and I could not find anything, not anything useful at least. Everything involved getting to the back of the nutsert, and the nutserts that I put on my Poison Spider rock rails did not work out that way. So I had to figure it out myself, and so now I'm going to make a YouTube video for you. And so now you'll be able to figure out how to fix a nutsert on your own. So here we go. So step one is identify the nutsert nut that you're trying to remove. In this case, you'll see one that started to go in and then the actual nutsert started to spin behind it. So what you're going to need to do in this case is you're going to need to use a cutting tool and cut the head off of the nut. And here's a little video on how that works. Now, after you remove that the head of the nut, you can actually take the piece off. In this case, I took the Poison Spider body armor off the Jeep, and now you're going to have to figure out how to remove the nut from the nutsert. In this case, I like to use a pair of vice grips, needle nose pliers, and you'll notice that I also use a chisel that I actually ground down a little finer so I could actually flare the lip up a little bit. If you try to get needle nose and pliers in there to pinch that back piece, it's very difficult because it sits very close to the body. But if you just take a little bit of a sharp tool of some type, you can actually flare that piece up just enough that you can actually grab it with the needle nose pliers and then twist it with the vice grips. And here's a video. Okay, so now after the nut is removed from the nutsert, now you actually have the spinning nutsert still in the body. And so I am not an automotive mechanic, but I used to work on helicopters quite a bit and remove a lot of rivets. And a similar technique that you do to remove a rivet is you sand off the head and you push it through. So in this case, I sanded the lip very, very fine, and then I was able to push the nutsert back into a void in the inside the body, and then I was able to, because the actual shape hadn't changed, I was able to put a new nutsert in, and I actually used a secondary tool to squeeze the nutsert a little closer and make sure I made a very tight fit. Alright, so that concludes my video. Hopefully this was helpful and you will be able to fix a nutsert that was installed incorrectly. One piece of advice is don't ever force a nutsert. I've learned this the hard way. But I also have a tap and die set. If you don't know, a tap actually goes in and recuts the threads. Oftentimes the problem is that you get a slightly different angle on the nut going into the nutsert, and that causes cross threading, and then it actually breaks the friction between the nutsert and the body. So you can use a tap to go in and create new threads if you need to along that path. Also using a longer bolt and slightly bending the sheet metal, allowing you correct alignment, is another technique to get those in correctly. But long story short, don't ever force a nutsert. It should go in easy and then just go snug, not go crazy tight. Thanks. And thank you, YouTube. This is my first video. There'll be many more.